Wanted to have a quick conversation about Trevor Bauer and the fact that I think that he could help the Cubs right now. And if the Cubs think there's a chance that they could still make a run for the postseason, why wouldn't you want to add a Cy Young Award winner for the league minimum? What's going on here? And why isn't anyone else adding this guy? We're going to talk about that quick conversation right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Get in the comments section. I know that this always is a very lively and spirited debate when we talk about Trevor Bauer. So we're going to do it again today. But this time, I really feel like it's time that somebody adds this player to a roster. And I'm going to tell you why. What do you say, guys? Welcome to the Cubs baseball channel. I'm Mick Gillespie, and I just wanted to first thank you for being here. Obviously, we love talking baseball every day, and you guys are what makes this channel go. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. Whether it's Anthony and me or us together, we all can't thank you enough for being here on a daily basis as we talk about the Cubs. All right, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw it out there again because I don't know if the front office for the Cubs feels the peril that I feel when I look at the job that they've done. And I feel like if I'm ownership, I'm seriously thinking, hey, you know what? I don't like the direction that this organization's going. And that's not a personal assault. That's just how I would feel. And look, some of it's bad luck. I mean, injuries. They've had a ton of injuries on this roster. They've had players that for 2 straight years haven't performed. They can't hit against good pitching. That's a day in and day out thing. They finally won a series against the Angels, but the Angels are really awful, an awful team. But they did lose a game in there, and they're treading water right now. I mean, let's just be honest, okay? And I look at this roster, and the latest one is that Colton Brewer punched the wall, broke his hand, injured himself, and he's out for 60 days. I don't think he's ever going to wear a Cubs uniform again. First off, he wasn't good. He just wasn't. He wasn't a good player. He's one of these guys that bounces around from roster to roster on waivers, and you hope that he'd be able to pop in there and give you some outs. There's better options in the Cubs minor league system. I was glad to see Hunter Biggie got that option to go play in the big leagues. And we'll see what he can do with it. But if I'm the Cubs, I want my own guys. I want guys that I developed. I want guys that came up through my system and not guys that came up through other systems. And it's weird to me when I look at the roster and I see all of these guys that they'll pick up off of waivers and then they'll just slide them right in there to a spot. I don't understand that. I mean, why go out and invest all this money in these guys that you draft and develop if you're not going to play them? And Colton Brewer think you're in the big leagues and now you're out because you punched a wall. I mean, it's just typical of what is going on this season with this team. So why not Trevor Bauer, right? And Trevor Bauer is being blackballed. It's obvious that he's being blackballed. He had the longest suspension in the history of Major League Baseball, right? I guess except the people that got kicked out of the game for domestic violence. And he's never been convicted in a court of domestic violence. And in our country, isn't that kind of part of the way that things go? If you get convicted of a crime, then you're guilty. And if you don't, you're innocent. Major League Baseball did an investigation. Why didn't they find out that there was somebody that was trying to extort money from him? And that person is looking at 16 years in prison. And he settled some other cases. I think he even wanted to settle that one because when you're a celebrity, when you're an athlete or an actor or somebody high profile, you can't win because there's a lot of people that just assume that you're guilty. And honestly, Trevor Bauer did some of this to himself. partly just by his behavior. Very unlikable player, very unlikable person. Throwing the baseball in the stands and the fits, and his teammates didn't like him. I'm not going to defend his past indiscretions or and his behavior, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty of these crimes. And until he's guilty in a court of law, then he's innocent. So for him to get a 2-year suspension to me is kind of odd. And Bill James, who is kind of a pretty insightful guy in the world of baseball. I mean, I think everybody here knows who he is. He says that Trevor Bauer might sue baseball for billions of dollars and he might win, that they need to get him back in a uniform. And I tend to think the same thing. I'm surprised that Bauer wants to play in the major leagues so badly that he hasn't sued them already. Because once you sue, I'm guessing that we're never going to see him play again. But the bottom line is this. So forget about your personal feelings on him. Major League Baseball put out a statement. They say that he can come back anytime. He served his time. Is that true? Or are they just saying that? I don't know. But if I'm the Cubs and I go, and they've gone out and they've signed all of these minor league players from all over the world, they're trying to get going to Mexico and going to Japan, and they're trying to find some help. You're telling me that if you got a spot on your roster for Colton Brewer, you don't have a spot for Trevor Bauer? The guy was a Cy Young Award winner. This ship is sinking. Like, I'm sorry, it's sinking. There's a hole in it. Besides Shota Imanaga, you're not getting a whole lot out of many of the players on the team. Justin Steele's been good, but he's been injured. This team was supposed to finish first. This was supposed to be a contender. And there's a hole. And if you want that bilge pump to come in there and start pumping water out, why not give this guy a chance? And if he doesn't do a good job, release him. Maybe there's still some life in this roster. And you got a chance to go out there and get a Cy Young Award winner and plug him right in. Why wouldn't you do it? What am I missing here? Unless there's some kind of a blackball thing going on. And I know that there's going to be a lot of you guys that get in the comment section and you're going to be on me pretty hard. Hey, we don't want him. We don't need him on this route. What don't we need? Another guy punching a wall and breaking his hand? I'd rather have somebody that's a little out there. If they come in and like he's been doing in Mexico and like he did in Japan last year and gets outs. I mean, he can't be worse than what we got right now. I mean, let's be honest. And he might be really good. Either that or this is going to come down to the end of the season and you're going to have to look really hard at the entire organization and because the bottom line is this, this is the Chicago Cubs. This isn't the Cincinnati Reds. This isn't the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's not even the White Sox. It's the Cubs. It's one of the biggest markets in baseball. And the expectations are that your expectations better be to win a World Series every year. So all I'm saying is if that's what the expectations are, there's still time left. And because the National League doesn't really have, the teams in the wild card running away with everything, you still got a chance. Why not take advantage of it? Or is this guy really blackballed? And is Bill James right? Is he going to sue baseball for billions of dollars? I don't know what kind of proof he has, but it's just weird to me when I'm watching the likes of Colton Brewer and Jose Cuas and the host of minor league players that the Cubs have signed that they hope that maybe they'll get to the big leagues. I mean, go look at the roster right now. I could pull it up. We could sit here all day. Bauer's probably the third or fourth best pitcher on the Cubs team. And I would put Shota ahead of him. I'd put Steele ahead of him and Javier Assad ahead of him. Maybe is that it? So let's see what happens there. You guys tell me what you think, but the Colton Brewer punching the wall thing to me is like, And then they don't even know who they're going to bring up. They don't know what they're going to do. They're already down guys because they got this double header coming up. And I'm looking at it going, there's your answer right there. Or is there something that I'm missing? And look, if anybody knows why this guy isn't being picked up, if there's a blackball situation, it's definitely Jed. Because look, his boys, Theo, I mean, those guys are tight and work together forever. Theo, he used to work for Major League Baseball, so he's going to know. So maybe that's the case. But if they're blackballing him, Major League Baseball might end up in a lawsuit they don't want to be in. I say, hey, let's just solve it. Let's put the guy on in a Cubs uniform. Let's see what he can do. If he stinks or he causes any trouble, out he goes. But at this point, being a last place team, who cares? Let's roll the dice. That's what I have to say. All right, you guys get in there and tell me what you think. Don't forget, Ant's coming up in the morning. Go Cubs.